If you are considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it. Let me be clear. If you come to our country and you break our laws, we will hunt you down. Criminals are not welcome in the United States.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement has launched nationwide operations targeting unaccompanied immigrant children with the goal of either deporting them or pursuing legal action against them and their sponsors, according to internal documents and sources familiar with the efforts. Whilst the Department of Homeland Security has described the initiative as a series of welfare checks intended to protect children from exploitation, internal ICE documents obtained by the National Immigration Project suggest a broader enforcement agenda. These documents reveal that ICE is also gathering information for potential deportations and criminal prosecutions, confirming a February report that the Trump administration ordered ICE to locate and deport unaccompanied minors. The aggressive tactics have alarmed immigrant advocates who warn that these operations amount to a form of backdoor family separation.
We are in the beginning stages of carrying out the largest deportation campaign in American history.
Now, President Trump and this administration here, the success is unprecedented. We beat Trump's first administration on border success. Border numbers are historic low. Today, as I'm standing here, we are the most secure border in the history of this nation.
Michelle Mendez of the National Immigration Project emphasized that the program's true intent appears to be the criminalization of vulnerable children and their sponsors. Beyond checking on the children's safety, ICE agents are reportedly assessing whether the minors pose a flight risk or a threat to public safety, raising additional concerns among immigration attorneys that enforcement rather than welfare is the true objective.
This is the biggest national security failure this country's ever seen. This is a border emergency until we end it, end all of it. We're making good strides. Right now, it's still an emergency until we shut it down.
ICE is essentially conducting intelligence-gathering missions against immigration families. Particularly troubling is ICE's focus on minors alleged to have gang or terrorist affiliations. The Trump regime has recently increased arrests and deportations of immigrants, particularly Salvadorians and Venezuelans, based on thin evidence of gang ties and relying on the rarely invoked 1798 Alien Enemies Act. This aggressive use of flimsy allegations to justify removals has prompted legal challenges and fears for the integrity of the judicial process. Remember, Trump is not deporting people back to their home country. He is deporting people to an El Salvadorian prison, effectively a concentration camp, in a place far away from where the migrant came from or settled. In one recent incident, ICE agents visited a 16-year-old girl in Washington state, supposedly for a welfare check. Samuel Smith, director of Immigrant Legal Services at Manzanita House, said the girl was terrified and confused during the encounter, fearing her life would be upended. It's reported that multiple federal agencies are now conducting similar welfare checks and sharing information with ICE, further blurring the line between child protection and immigration enforcement. Internal documents indicate that ICE's enforcement and removals operations and Homeland Security investigations are jointly conducting these operations. ERO manages deportations, while HSI typically handles international criminal investigations, but has taken on a larger domestic enforcement role under the Trump regime. The ICE guidance directs ERO to enforce removal orders and HSI to explore potential criminal charges against unaccompanied minors.
What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision. Parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today would be Trump administration separating families again.
Unaccompanied minors who reach the U.S. are typically processed by Customs and Border Protection and then placed under the care of the Office of Refugee Resettlement or at the Department of Health and Human Services. From there, they're often released to sponsors, usually family members, after a vetting process. Humane, legal, asylum-seeking, and immigration. Historically, the ORR operated independently of the DHS to handle child migrants with a humanitarian approach. However, under Trump, the ORR began sharing information with ICE, a practice that the Biden administration curtailed, but which has since been reinstated under Trump's second term. Advocates fear this revived data sharing will be used to arrest and deport sponsors, many of whom are undocumented. Meanwhile, legal services for unaccompanied children have been slashed despite court orders, leaving many minors without adequate representation as they navigate complex immigration proceedings. Trump allies have frequently claimed, often without evidence, that unaccompanied minors are trafficked into the country. Critics argue that while trafficking does occur, it's relatively rare, and the vast majority of children are placed with safe, supportive sponsors. Meanwhile, a mother deported to Honduras was given less than 2 minutes by immigration agents to speak with her partner about the fate of their children, one of whom is a 2-year-old U.S. citizen.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child while you're here illegally, that's on you. But it's not going to make you immune from the law. You got to make a parental decision. Leave the child here or take him with you.
Grace Willis, a lawyer for the 2-year-old, said the mother was arrested along with her 2 children last week during a routine check-in with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Willis said ICE denied everybody the ability to contact the mother for days after the arrest. She was eventually allowed to speak on the phone with her partner, but only for 2 minutes. They were asserting the child's U.S. citizenship on speakerphone with the ICE officer who was in the room with the mother. As soon as the father started providing the phone number for an attorney, the ICE officer hung up the phone. That was the last time they spoke to each other until the mother landed in Honduras. The mother had been checking in regularly with ICE for years because of an outstanding deportation order. On April 22nd, she was detained with her 2-year-old and an older child. All 3 of them were later taken to Honduras, even though the mother wanted the younger child to stay in the U.S. with their U.S. passport. The Trump regime has insisted the mother wanted her children to be brought to Honduras along with her, citing a letter she wrote by hand stating, "My child will come with me."
So when a parent says, I want my 2-year-old baby to go with me, we made that happen.
The lawyer argued, however, that the mother was forced to write that letter. She was never provided an opportunity to make a different choice. She never had an opportunity to speak with a lawyer, to speak with the child's father, or to make any other different decision. A U.S. district judge has scheduled the hearing for the case for May 16. In the interest of dispelling our strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process. The revelations contradict the Trump regime's claims that U.S. citizen children were deported after their mothers requested the children to leave with them. There are countless examples of abject cruelty on behalf of the Trump regime, bypassing the courts, denying due process, and sealing the fate of thousands of hard-working people who've just tried to make a life in the United States, working hard, contributing, paying taxes, who have their dreams shattered by a racist, xenophobic, and cruel regime, determined to whitewash America, its past, and its future.
If you try to enter illegally, you will be caught. You will be removed, and you will never return. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. If you break it, you'll find consequences.
I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.